Hello and welcome to this week's Watnall Road Baptist Church family spot. Lisa's off today. She's having a rest, but she's left you in the capable but slightly silly hands of me and Joseph. But I think we're ready to do it, aren't we?
Yeah.
Of course we are. This week we're going to be thinking about how God wants us to show kindness and love to everyone, especially those who are in need. That sounds like a pretty good idea to me, don't you think?
Yeah.
Excellent. Cool. The Bible tells us that we should love our neighbours as ourselves. Have you heard that before?
No.
Okay. Well, it's a commandment. It's something that God tells us to do. One of his rules or laws. He says that we need to love our neighbour as ourselves. But who is our neighbour? Well, one day when Jesus was talking to a group of people, a guy asked him this very question. He said, "Oi, Jesus, who is my neighbour?" And Jesus answered by telling the man and the crowd a parable. Do you know what a parable is?
I don't.
Well, a parable is a story that teaches us something. It's a bit like, have you heard the story of Peter and the Wolf? It's about a little boy who pretends that a wolf is after him, but there isn't really a wolf. And eventually, no one listens to him because they all think he's lying. And then when a real wolf comes, guess what happens? They think he's lying and he gets gobbled up. So, a parable is a story that teaches us something, and it's a way that Jesus used lots in his ministry, lots in his life, that he took that he taught people. Let's read the story together. God's law says, love your neighbour as yourself. A man asked Jesus, "Who is my neighbour?" Jesus told this story to show that people of any culture should be treated with kindness. A man was walking along the road from Jerusalem to the town of Jericho when some bad men ran off with his coat and left him lying on the side of the road, badly hurt. The hurt man lay in the hot sun. At last he saw someone coming past. It was a very holy man who loved to pray. "Help me, please," cried the hurt man. But the very holy man took no notice. He walked on the other side of the road. He didn't stop to help the hurt man. He was too busy praying to God. A very clever teacher from his own town came past. He walked on the far side of the road and pretended not to see the hurt man. A stranger from the country of Samaria came along the road with his little donkey. He saw the hurt man by the side of the road. The man from Samaria was very kind. "I will help you, my friend," said the kind man from Samaria. He gave the man a drink of water and helped him. Then he put him on his donkey. He found a place for the man to stay and paid for everything he needed. Jesus wants us to help other people. That is called being a good Samaritan. So, when Jesus told this story to the crowd, at the end he said, right, who acted like the neighbour? Who was the neighbour in this story? Was it the holy man?
No.
Was it the teacher?
No.
Was it the Samaritan?
Yes.
Yeah, and actually, in Jesus' time, everyone he was talking to would have gone, "Hang on, Jesus, that's the least likely person to have helped, because the Samaritan is from another place. He's not like us." But actually what Jesus is teaching us is it doesn't matter what country a person's from, what colour their skin is, what they believe. Actually, everyone in the world is our neighbour. We need to show them love. We need to show them kindness. We need to have friendly hands or kind hands. Okay, everyone, I think it's time for some craft. What do you think?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
And I think we need to use these. Our hands. What are we going to make, Joe?
We're going to make salt dough friendly hands.
Salt dough friendly hands, or salt dough kind hands. Have you got kind hands?
Yes, super kind hands.
I've got tickly hands. Okay, so the things you are going to need for this are... What's that?
Flour, salt.
We're going to need some warm water in a minute. We'll need a spoon.
A rolling pin. Don't forget your rolling pins.
And we'll need some grease-proof paper or baking paper. We'll sort it out as we go. Now, the first thing we need to do is we need to get 4 cups worth of flour. You're right, cup 4 in.
Mix?
No, next we need 1 cup of salt. Right, next we need 1 cup and a half of warm water. Alright, we're going to put aprons on because this is going to get messy.
A super whooper messy.
Do you think I could have a little mix?
Yeah, sure, Dad.
Thank you. So far, it's looking like that. So we're going to give it a good mix. So we've been stirring it for a while now, and it's sort of gone into a ball. So at this point, we're going to put some flour on the table, and then we're going to start kneading it with our hands. We have a nice smooth kneaded bit of dough. So now we're going to cut 2 large pieces of baking powder. Baking powder? Excuse me? We're now going to cut 2 large pieces of baking paper, not baking powder. Baking paper. So we've got the dough in the middle. We've got like a dough sandwich. We're going to press it out. We're going to roll it out. And what we want is for it to be about 5 millimeters thick. Right, we're back. And we have our dough rolled out to about 5 millimeters. Now, join us upstairs for part 2 of this craft activity.
Cool, right, so we're going to do the second half of that craft activity in a little bit. So we know from our story earlier that Jesus wants us to be good neighbours. He wants us to be good neighbours to everyone. He wants us to be good friends. And do you know what, Joe?
What?
I know a song about being a friend. And it's not a church song, but just for fun, I would like us to pretend that Jesus wrote the words. So what we're going to do is we're going to listen to a song that I think you're all going to know, and we're going to stop it and we're going to say, well, actually, if Jesus said those words to us, what might it mean? So here's my rendition of You've Got a Friend in Me, but we're going to pretend that it's Jesus who's written the words. We'll give it a go. Something different. All right. Got a friend in me, and you got a friend in me. And when the road looks rough ahead and you're miles and miles from your nice warm bed, you just remember what your old pal said. Boy, you got a friend in me, and yeah, you've got a friend in me. Okay, so right, if Jesus was saying that, he's saying that he will always be our friend. Wherever you are in the world, he is there, even when things get a bit rough or a bit scary. That sounds pretty good to me. What about you? That sounds like a good friend to me. Right, let's see what else we've got.
You've got a friend in me. You got a friend in me. You got troubles, well I got them too. There isn't anything I wouldn't do for you. We stick together and see it through, 'cause you've got a friend in me. You've got a friend in me.
So Jesus tells us in the Bible that he will share our troubles, that we don't have to deal with things alone, that he'll always be there. And actually, when Jesus tells us that there's nothing he wouldn't do for us, that goes beyond anything that we could do ourselves. Now, Joe, would you give me your last sweet?
Yes.
Yeah. I'd get up early for you and do whatever it took to make sure that you were happy and having fun. These are great things. But do you know what Jesus did for us? Do you know how far Jesus would go for us?
He would die.
He would die for us. And he did die for us. He died for us on the cross on the Good Friday. And then he came back to life on Easter Sunday. And that's why we get to celebrate him. That's why he is God. What an amazing friend to have. Thank you, Jesus.
Some of the folks might be a little bit smarter than I am, bigger and stronger too, maybe. But none of them will ever love you the way I do. It's me and you, boy.
Now, if Jesus was singing this song and he wrote those words, I'd have to say, hang on, hold your horses, Jesus. There's no need to be humble. You are God. And there is no one smarter or stronger or bigger than you. But I am so grateful that no one loves me the way that you do.
And as the years go by, our friendship will never die. You're gonna see it's our destiny. You got a friend in me. You got a friend in me. You got a friend in me. Woo. You got a friend in me.
And what an amazing promise. When we choose to follow Jesus, when we choose to be Jesus' friend, that friendship will never die. He will always be with us. He will always love us. And he will always, always be there for us. Wonderful. Right, I think it's time we go to the second half of our craft. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right, let's go back in the past. Okay, we're not upstairs, we're on the floor. So what we're going to do now is we're going to draw around both of Joseph's hands. Then we're going to cut those hands out, we're going to put them on the dough, then we're going to cut around the hand so we have two dough hands.
Okay.
And then we'll figure out what we do next. Right, spread them. Oh, awesome, right, back to the table. Hand number 1, ready to go. And hand number
2.
So the next thing we need to do is to gently press hands onto the salt dough. And then carefully cut around the hands with a knife. Grown-ups, sharp knives. Let's go! Okay, so we've cut out our 2
Salt dough hands.
salt dough hands, thank you. And then I've cut out some baking
Paper.
baking paper. I put the hands on there and now I put them on the bowls. And what I've done is I've gently pressed on them so that they take the shape of the bowl. Now it's time to call your adult in because we're gonna cook them. So now that you're ready to put your salt dough hands in the oven, some advice from some people who know. Now, as you can see, me and Joe have changed clothes because it's tomorrow
from when we last spoke to you. We first put the salt dough hands in the oven at quite a high temperature, and this happened. Now, they don't look too bad. They still look like hands. They're a bit longer, but they're a little bit burnt. Mel told us best thing to do, our pro tip, is to put them in on a low heat for a long time. And these ones have come out really, really well.
Super wow.
So, now you've finished your hands, what are you going to do with them? What do you think, Joe?
Paint them.
Paint them, yeah. I think you should decorate them and maybe give them to someone who's really special to you. Give them to someone who you want to show you're a really good friend to. So just so you can see, there's our burnt ones and there's our leftover dough. And with some of my leftover dough, or our leftover dough, I made this cross and I'm really, really pleased with how that came out. So we hope you enjoy it. We enjoyed making them, didn't we?
Yeah.
And thank you so much for your help, darling.
That's okay.
Brilliant. So we hope that you enjoy making your salt dough kind hands or friendly hands. Please decorate them. Please send us a picture. We would love to see them. Me and Joe are going to decorate ours later. So what have we learned today? We've been looking at the parable or the story of the Good
Samaritans.
Samaritan, yes. And what do we learn from that?
We learned that everyone in the world is our neighbour and we should treat them with respect and kindness.
Absolutely. Everyone in the world is our neighbour. It doesn't matter if they look different to us, if they're from a different country to us, if they speak a different language. Everyone is our neighbour. And God tells us that we need to love our neighbours as we love ourselves. Wonderful. Cool. Hopefully you enjoyed our sort of slightly silly song. But actually, I think there's lots of good things in that. Jesus really does love us. Jesus is such a good friend. And when we decide that we want to be friends with Jesus, he will always be there for us. He will always support us in any troubles or any rough times that we have. And that is a wonderful thing. Let's try and be those kinds of friends to everyone else. Right, we're going to finish with a short prayer before we say goodbye to you. Oh God, thank you for loving everyone the same amount. Thank you that you never turn your back on me. Please help me to be kind to everyone, especially those in need. Mini zones assemble. Amen. Wonderful. Thank you for joining us. Lots of love to you all. God bless and have a good last week of homeschooling. You'll be back soon with all your friends. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Bye.